When I met my wife, I said to her, I love making handmade pasta. I love making ravioli. I love just making pasta in general. She's like, oh, you have to make it for me someday. And it took, I think, 3 years before I actually made pasta for her for the first time. I had to see if I was gonna stay around, you know? It was one of those lockdown things. I'm gonna make you pasta today. And it was the first time she had it, and I think that's gonna keep me around for a little bit longer. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Max La Manna and I'm with my friends at Imagine 5. We are cooking up some delicious recipes that reduce food waste. And the next recipe we're gonna make is my stuffed mushroom ravioli with a creamy butternut squash sauce and crispy sage. The reason why I'm making handmade pasta is because I have friends coming around in just a little bit and I want to impress them. So let's make some raviolis. Ravioli. First up, we're gonna prep the butternut squash. Some of it is going on top of our finished pasta. So for that, we'll carefully cut it into small pieces. Pop the pieces on an oven tray with plenty of olive oil and season them well with salt and pepper. Add ground nutmeg and a little smoked paprika, and off they go into the oven to roast. The rest of the squash is gonna get blended once it's roasted, so we'll get that on a separate oven tray with olive oil, salt, and if you're thinking, whoa, Max, that's a lot of squash. Yes it is. I have a lot of people to feed. While our butternut squash is in the oven, we're gonna move on and make our pasta dough. We have our 00 flour here and our aquafaba and turmeric. Turmeric is gonna give it that color that we need. The aquafaba is in replacement of egg. This is plant-based, and the aquafaba is chickpea water. For those who might not know, chickpea water is a great substitute. It's often wasted, it's thrown down the sink. We're utilizing it in this recipe. For those who want to make one for themselves, and if you're just cooking for one, the ratio is 2 to 1. So 2 parts flour, 1 part aquafaba. That's it. And it works every single time. I'm going to use a stand mixer as I'm making quite a bit of dough, but this can also be done by hand. You'll add the flour and the turmeric and then add the aquafaba slowly to the flour and mix it well, bringing it together until you have a dough. Then you need to knead by hand. You're waiting for the dough to be super smooth for all the flour to be well incorporated. There's our pasta dough. That needs to rest for about 15 minutes. For our ravioli, we'll make a creamy mushroom filling with thyme and garlic. Prep your ingredients by finely chopping the mushrooms, the garlic, and the thyme. Sauté the mushrooms down in a large pan to remove their water. Add some plant-based butter and sizzle in that garlic and thyme. Once they're fully softened, add them to a mixing bowl. Then we're gonna add some plant-based cream cheese and the zest of a lemon. And the juice can be used in other recipes. Zest first, then juice. Mix it really well. And we'll end up with something like this. Great. While our mushroom filling is just cooling out behind us, I'm gonna start with our pasta dough and we're gonna roll it out. Add a little pinch of flour to it, give it a rub. And to make this a lot easier, divide the dough. While we work on one of them, we're gonna keep this protected. In a bag it goes. Your dough should be super smooth. You see that? Very smooth. I love this process. This is where you can't rush. You have to take your time. Your patience will be rewarded. Keeping it in a equal shape, use a rolling pin or get your hands involved. This goes through. And each time you roll through, you change the setting. So I get lower and lower. I started on an 8, I'm now at a 7. There we are. Now I'm gonna break it down. Break it down. I feel like I need 3 hands for this job. Keep rolling your dough until it passes through the second thinnest setting, keeping it well floured as you go. You want it to be translucent, you want to be able to see through it. Cut your pieces into longish sections that you can work with while you're filling. This can be quite rustic. Giving enough space along the border, giving space in between each one. We close And this is quite rustic. This is how we're gonna remove some of the air out as well. Kind of pinch it shut with your hands like so. So you end up something like this. I'm adding semolina to this board right now because I'm just gonna let them hang out. This will help them and prevent them from sticking.
Continue stuffing and shaping your pasta until you used up all the dough and all the filling. This is one of those things to enjoy taking your time over. Remember that squash we roasted? For the sauce, we're going to add the remaining roasted squash to a blender, seeds and all. Squeeze in that lemon juice, parsley, some firm tofu, a little mustard, tahini, nutritional yeast, olive oil, salt and pepper, and a little nutmeg.
Ooh. Wow, that's lovely. Usually I would wait for my guests to be sat down before I start cooking the ravioli, but because no one's here yet, I'm gonna plate myself up a few.
To go the extra mile and make this dish a real showstopper, we are topping our ravioli with some crispy sage leaves, which we'll fry in some olive oil and plant-based butter until they're, well, crispy. Now you're going to carefully place a few ravioli at a time into boiling salted water, being careful with your fragile creations. Let's not ruin all our hard work. Add the creamy butternut squash sauce to the bottom of your plate. Give the plate a little love tap and spread the sauce. Add the cooked ravioli, topped with the roasted butternut squash pieces and a sprinkle of the pan grattato we made in episode 1.
Wow, lovely texture, creamy butternut squash base. You can taste the nutmeg, a slight touch of Dijon mustard, which gives it a bit of a little kick there. Wow, oh my goodness. Come in, please, come in, someone try this, please. I'm gonna now move into my third and final dish, which is my no waste cereal milk, ice cream, and cereal crumble. See you soon.